Alright everyone, we have more South Africa news to talk about. The first piece is more humorous than it is substantive. We have to talk about Theresa May basically doing the minstrel thing over there. She goes to South Africa, and it's very funny because it's against the backdrop of land expropriation. Really, a lot of people can't find South Africa on a map. They know it's somewhere down there, they think, but, they couldn't find it. You have this situation where the ANC is trying to change their constitution to make it legal to steal people's land based on the color of their skin because they happen to be white. This is racial justice or something like that. This is how it's being billed. Theresa May comes out, I believe it was 2 days ago now, says, well, yes, I support this strongly. I think it's a wonderful thing you're doing, so long as it's legal. So the idea is it's okay, folks, if the government is stealing land from you that's been in your family for 2 generations, or 3 generations or whatever, based on the fact that you're white. That's okay so long as the government makes it legal first. You can't just seize your land at gunpoint unless it changes the Constitution. It must be wonderful to be part of a governing body and be able to legalize theft. To be able to literally legalize stealing from people. It's sort of like civil asset forfeiture here. The basic concept of civil asset forfeiture as an expediency involved with preventing someone from continuing criminal activity has been warped to the point where some police departments in this country are making substantial sums within their budget just off of literally stealing. There was a story the other day from West Virginia I saw posted. I think it literally happened in the last 48 hours where a couple there, they had like 10 grand on them. They were going to a casino. No, yeah, sorry, you're broke now. So basically it's like don't travel with any more money than you want to get robbed by some fucking modern day highwayman who simply has a badge on, therefore the courts agree that it's okay. I don't know, what happens to this money? Does it get put in lockup? Does it eventually maybe get returned to you? Once it's been spent 10 times over? It doesn't make any sense. So Theresa May lands there, and she's all happy because she's among kindred spirits. The British government likes to steal people's land too. It's a long-standing British tradition. Like, that's what they did when they were in Africa the last time around. Basically, hey, oh, hi. This is our land now, too. Oh, no, now it's only our land. It's not yours anymore. Including, vast swaths of the entire continent, let alone other chunks of the world, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, India, and the surrounding areas, Bangladesh, and so forth. A lot of the world's surface. Yeah, about a quarter of the world's surface at some point or another has belonged to the British Empire. So they're far left radical government over time, because that's what imperialism is. It's literally a form of redistributionism, central planning almost. Comes in and fucks with Africa, and so she's following the long, proud tradition of British politicians liking to go to places where land stealing and atrocities are happening. She decides when she gets there, well, you know what I'm going to do for the cameras? I'm going to do a little sand shuffle, and it looks very much like a minstrel show. Just look that up. I'm surprised they're still on YouTube. But just look up minstrel show reel or something like that, and you can see they do the sand dance and stuff like that, and the stump speech and all these weird things that people thought were very funny in the 50s and 60s. Not so much now, although, they're still humorous. They're humorous because they're so dated. But that's basically what she looks like. Here's this older lady sort of shuffling around trying to groove, and it's like the only time that a foreign leader has gone to Africa and actually been able to pull off I'm actually genuinely happy to be dancing here. Like Trump dancing with the Saudis. He was sitting there with the shit-eating grin. You could tell he's like, this is a weird ceremony. I'd rather be building a skyscraper right now. He looked like he enjoyed the quaint nature of it. And then, of course, he had the big glowing orb and stuff. Last time a major foreign leader went to Africa and danced around and took part in sort of the customary tribal stuff there that every technically developed Western-style government there still clings to for tourism reasons. It was George W. Bush. Yeah, George W. looked like he legitimately, honestly had a great time when he was, I can't remember which country he was in. I think he was in Ghana at the time. I think it was Ghana or Rwanda. I can't remember. he was over in Africa. This was when he was the president. I think it was near the end of his second term. And that was like the happiest you ever saw him at any point in his governance. It's like after 9/11, he's like, he has to pretend to be somber. It was all pretense. I think he was happy because he got to start several wars. He goes off, he's bombing people, his poll numbers are bombing too. He's getting steadily less like, happy-go-lucky, monkey-eared Bush, and more the somber, silent Bush that doesn't go out in public for a week at a time. But that was the one point at which he was absolutely delighted. You could tell he's sitting there, he's like, and he's dancing around and stuff, having a great time. Theresa May looks like she's doing it just for appearances. Really, she's glad, though, to be in South Africa. She's right in the chaotic storm of a government about to force people off of their land. She's getting like a lady boner thinking about it, I think, in all honesty. She's an authoritarian. The British government is run by fools. They're like, oh, it's fine. You can steal people's land. It's not stealing once it's legalized. So it's like, hey, the government has legalized shooting you. It's not murder anymore. It's perfectly fine. Even if, they can kill you on a racial basis. They're not gonna commit genocide. They're only gonna kill 1 in every 10 white people each year and just cull the herd to give more land to people who aren't white. That's fine, so long as they change the Constitution first. How lovely that works within government. Government is always, your own government is always more of a threat to you than any foreign power. They usually drum up foreign threat to justify some land grab, some war, some police state bullshit law. Ultimately, they are the ones that are your biggest threat because they can legalize it to murder you and mistreat you, or tax you out of existence, make it impossible for you to perform economically. No other no other governing force, no militants, no terrorist organization, no criminal syndicate, they can't legalize their crimes. They can't abuse you and make it legal. Your own government, unfortunately, can, especially in a place like South Africa where the government ultimately is run by an ailing so-called centrist party, which is to say far left. The ANC is very far left. They're socialists. They're trying to stave off literal communism under Malema, who literally wears the hammer and sickle, stands in front of the commie flag, but he's totally not a communist. Totally normal, rational individual. Trust us, he's not like the Nicolas Maduro of South Africa. In order to stave them off politically, they're like, well, we got to appeal to the voting base. What's the voting base? Oh, yeah, it's mainly black. Let's stoke up some nativism here to stave off the commies. We'll promise them the moon on a stick. Really, we're just giving them a few fallow plots of land that are fallow specifically because they have to be. We're going to ruin part of our agricultural sector. By the way, in so doing, within 2 or 3 years, you'll see an economic downturn within agriculture. Certainly, it'll probably be sooner than that because some farmers will sell off and flee, leaving behind a vacuum that won't be filled by people who actually have the proper training. They don't have any hands-on experience farming. They're going to give them to ANC loyalists, and it'll be very funny. And then the British will say, oh, shame on some group of people here other than the South African government. It's such a horrible shame. We need to send them aid now. We could have stopped this by condemning the theft of this land to begin with for political reasons, but, we were too busy looking at people losing their land and saying, oh, this reminds us of the good old days of empire. It was so wonderful when we went to Africa and we would force millions of people off of their land. Then they're like, but Leopold, he took it a little bit too far. The Belgian Congo. You want to read about a real atrocity, read about the Belgian Congo sometime and King Leopold and all of that crazy shit. That's about all. Peace out.